it's Doris with All of the Books, and I'm here with my Victober wrap up. I know it's a little late. I've had things going on in my world, but we're starting to resolve. So, trying to get back in the groove. And speaking of resolution, I feel like I'm starting booktube all over again. I rearranged this room. And now I can't find my sweet spot for filming. I don't know where it went, but I'm dodging glasses glare no matter where I get in the room. So, whatever. You guys don't care, right? Right? Anyway, I have finished 8 books, most of them in October. There was a little bit of filtering into November with a couple of these, but I just don't even care. It's all good. It's all good. I finished them. And I normally just talk about them in the order in which I finish them, but I thought it would be fun to talk about them in the order that my preference. So I actually was going to do it from favorite to least favorite because earlier in the month that was more exciting, but right there at the end, I read some amazingness, so I decided to go the traditional route, least favorite to favorite. So let's just dive in because there's 8 and I don't know how long it'll take. I might not remember too much, so it might not be too long. But anyway, first off we have Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. Now, this is definitely a great literary work. His writing is beautiful. The introduction is not the introduction, but you know what I'm saying. The beginning of the story is just gorgeous. It's that whole, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, you know, like the one that everybody knows. Yeah, see, I can quote it. And the ending was gorgeous too. I won't read that, you know, spoilers, even though it's a classic. But I found the characters just, bless them, I was quite bored by them. And he is very much a big R romantic style writer for me anyway. So the emotional level was way more than I could handle. So yeah, this one has pictures too. I'm going to be really distracted through this, so if that bothers you, you might want to skip it. But anyway, the things I liked about it, I really liked the way it overlapped with the French Revolution and the American Revolution and what was going on in Britain at the time. So historically, it was fascinating. There was a really, I am all here for a redemption story. I'm all here for that, always. And there is just a Shawshank Redemption worthy redemption story in here. So to say this is my least favorite book, I had a good run because this was a good book. It was really fairly boring all through the middle, and yeah, so it's a mixed bag for me. I appreciate the literary merit and the historical merit and the redemption story, but it could have been a novella, I guess. Maybe that's it. Anyway, there you go. That's number 8. And these first 3 are like neck and neck. They could all be ranked the same, really. So the next one is not North and South, surprise, surprise, but it is a book by Elizabeth Gaskell, Mary Barton. So I had actually ordered Mary Barton and it didn't come, and I got my money back, which turned out to be a good thing because I didn't really enjoy Mary Barton. Maybe this should be my number 8 book. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, this started out with a bang. Mary Barton did. I loved the the cultural aspect, just her window into the working man, the working woman, and the poverty associated with that in Victorian England, that was really neat. And I started out liking the characters. There's a naturalist in this story that's really cute, an older guy, and his daughter who ends up being a great singer and going blind. It's a really neat story. But, you know, it just, same thing. It went downhill with the big R romanticism. That's a common theme for me in Victorian literature. I struggle with it, and just the same slogginess. But instead of like this one was like beginning and end was good, this one had a solid beginning and then it just stayed on the downhill path for me. The main part with the second half that really got on my nerves was it was mostly a trial scene and the researching for the trial and proving if the guy was innocent or not. And I mean, unless it's Atticus Finch or maybe John Grisham in his early days when I used to read him, I'm not really, that doesn't always, oftener than not, it bores me. And this one, you could tell it was in the early stages of understanding those concepts. Like, she italicized the word alibi, and there was another word like maybe habeas corpus or something. But words that are in our common vocabulary, but you could tell they were being introduced then, and they were very excited that they understood that concept and wanted to share it with the world. So it may have been thrilling then, but it was kind of, already know way too much about it now. So anyway, there was that one. This one was, like I said, the working class factory workers, I guess the north of England. And yeah, there's that. Okay, and then we have an unpopular opinion. I read this with several other women who really didn't care for it. And like I said, this one is fairly equal with the other two in my opinion. But this one is just a completely different beast. So this one I think is billed as one of the early, pardon me, this is Trail of the Serpent by Mary Elizabeth Breton. Lady Audley's Secret fame, I think. Anyway, this one is billed as an early mystery, one of the first mysteries in the Victorian era. And it's a sensationalist fiction. So this is, I guess, what it would equate to in modern times is like Regency romances and beach lit and chick lit, those kind of terms that sometimes are considered a little derogatory. I don't think so. I think you just enjoy what you enjoy and just go for it. I like those terms, but you know what I'm saying? They're just not necessarily literary fiction if you're a snob that way. So this was more sensationalist for the masses to like, ooh, ah. And I found it very farcical. So what I'm saying is it made me laugh. And that's an emotion that I tend to have a middle school sense of humor. So yeah, this was funny. So the bad guy is a really bad guy. He does a lot of really, really bad things. The plot is, it kind of does whatever it needs to get where it wants to go. Do you hear what I'm saying? So the things that happened were funny. One of the detectives who was like working on this case was mute. He wasn't deaf, but he was mute, and it was an interesting storyline. And like I said, the bad guy was super bad. He did horrible things at the onset. And if anything, I would knock him down for that, because he did really super horrible things at the beginning. And then it just kind of, like, he lessened in his horribleness. I mean, he still did bad things, but they weren't as sensationalist, if you know what I mean. You know, he wasn't like killing people with his own hands at that point. He was manipulating the deaths. So, yeah. So anyway, this one was kind of a crime thriller in the Victorian era, but over the top, so I took it in a funny way. There you go. Read the blurb. Read the blurb. Okay, so then, now we're going to take it up a notch. These next two are really good. And I would kind of, sort of, I had trouble deciding between them as well, like which was going next or not. I finally made the determination based on the overall quality, because they're both story collections in a sense. So we have Sheridan Leaf in A Glass Darkly. This is 5 short stories, and they are all perfect for spookathon. They're all a little bit of a creepy edge to them. 1, not so much. 2, very much so. The first short story is a demon monkey following you with red glowing eyes in the dark. I mean, right? I was creeped out. Very much so. And then the last one is one of the forerunners to the vampire story. It's called Vampire. And it's a female vampire, excuse me. And it's just really gorgeously gothic and sensual. Just what you'd want from a vampire story. Anne Rice read this several times before she started writing Interview with a Vampire. I've no doubt. I'm making that up, but I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed the first story and the last story. Like, really loved them. The 3 in the middle were, again, somewhat boring. So, that's why this one is a step behind the man. Oscar Wilde. He just had a gift. I have read, I think, his novella or novel, his short novel or novella, you know the one, the only one, and 4 of his plays, and I've loved them all. So this go round, I didn't read this whole thing. I read 3 plays this year, and they were Lady Windermere's Fan, A Woman of No Importance, and An Ideal Husband. And in all these cases, he is looking at someone, he deals with society and the upper class, the upper echelon, and his writing is so witty. He just makes fun of them the whole time. It's absolutely delightful. But all 3 of these stories, these plays that I read this year, had a central character who had made a major mistake earlier in life. And the story dealt with how they working through society and made up for that mistake. And not necessarily in their own lives, but sometimes in the lives of their children. And, you know, what they had to give up for that, and what they got from that. And it was just really beautiful. He is an insightful man, gorgeous writing, and yeah, he was definitely a gift to the world, was our Oscar. Okay, and then we have, these are definitely in order of preference. So, I finally read Wuthering Heights by Bronte. Yeah, Emily. Emily wrote this one. So, I thought that I had read this back in my teen years, but I had not. I had not read it at all. So, very much enjoyed it. It's gorgeous writing, atmospheric. This one's very, very atmospheric. A lot of people say it's important to realize that it's not a love story, and I think I was daunted at reading it because I just assumed I wasn't going to like it based on the capital R romanticism level and the fact that the characters are unlikable. Yeah, but there is a secondary story that to me makes the ending very pleasant. So I really enjoyed the wrap up at the end. The beginning, there's a delightfully creepy nightmare scene that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't want to say too much, but there's a little bit of a supernatural-esque edge at the end that I thought was just great resolution for the story. So overall, artistically, this is fabulous. Again, I struggle with the middle ground in these Victorian books. There was definitely an I'm a little bit bored stretch in the middle, not gonna lie, but really great, really great. Okay, then we have, this is number 7 or number 2, depending on how you're looking at it. This is my second favorite for the month, and that would be The Small House at Ellington by Anthony Trollope. This is just another great Anthony Trollope read. I really like him. He doesn't do that big R romantic thing. His characters are just, you know, normal people to me. They don't like get out of control with their emotions for the most part. They're, you know, they just think about things and work them out, and, you know, they don't faint or anything. And I like that. This one is very complex in the character depth. There are so many different relationships and so much character development going on. It's just a lot to keep up with. So, and this is number 5 in a series of 6. You don't necessarily have to read this one in order. It is a standalone-ish, but if you do want to read them all, I don't know. It's not going to spoil it too much. Too much, really, for most of them anyway. The central nature of this one is a family dynamic. You have a mom and 2 sisters, an uncle and a cousin, a male cousin who becomes one of the romantic interests. There are, like, I guess 4 romantic interests for the 2 sisters. And yeah, it's not a from here to there trajectory with the romance, so that's very refreshing. And I read this with Kate Howe, who also liked it, but not for Victober, if you watched her video, because it's very different from the other Victorian reads in the emotional level and the way you interpret it. So but I kind of think, like, I haven't read the last one, number 6, yet, so I'm thinking these characters are going to maybe get a little bit more resolution in the next one, but it ends fine in this one too. So anyway, Anthony Trollope is my favorite Victorian author at this point in time. This is my second Victober, and so I've read a lot more than I had in the past, and Anthony is my man. However, I now have a favorite Victorian novel, and I can't believe it, because I don't know why I thought I read all these books back in the day. I thought I read this one in my mid-20s. I know I read Anna Karenina and what's that other one? Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and found, I know for a fact that I found both of those incredibly sluggish. I may like them more now. I don't know. But I thought that I read this one at the time and had decided I hated serial novels. And I'm at 20 minutes. I apologize. But yeah, I had never read it. Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. Oh my gosh, I love this book. I can't believe it. I adore this book. Bathsheba is my girl. She is such a strong woman, and she's flawed. She's so real. And then there's Gabriel. And it's not a lover's triangle because there's two more dudes, so there's three guys. And the things that happen in this story, oh, and the writing, please. It is swoon-worthy. There are 3 scenes in here that I just read them and thought, oh my gosh, I have to watch the movie because that scene is so visually stunning that I can't even imagine what a director did with it. It is just right there for him. Excellent material. So, all the feels, the ending, I thought, you know, I was this far through and I was like, I don't even care how it ends. This is a 5-star read. But he freaking stuck the landing too. It couldn't be more perfect. I love this book. Everybody needs to read it. It's fabulous. Anyway, I'm just gonna abruptly stop now because I'm at 22 minutes. So thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye.